Obviously, innovation and a new way of doing business is the key for our success. And I will preface to say that we are able to deliver more with less without runaway costs.
Welcome back to Spilling the Tea, the podcast where we take you behind the scenes of the MBTA. I'm Andrew Cassidy of the MBTA's Customer and Employee Experience Department, and today we have a very special episode for you. We're once again joined by Sam Zhou, Chief Engineer and Assistant General Manager of Engineering and Capital for the MBTA. Sam, thank you so much for joining us again. It's been a little while since last we spoke.
Indeed. Thanks again for inviting me here.
Last time we spoke, I think we had just finished the track improvement program. Major accomplishment, got rid of all the slow zones. Obviously, the riding public is keenly aware that their trips are now faster, but it wasn't just about getting rid of the slow zones. You've referred to it as a catalyst for change. What does that really mean?
We have talked a lot about the track improvement program in the past year, so I'm not going to get into the weeds about the success and quote some of the stats. But I think what I would say is the track improvement program really changed our way of doing business, not only allowing us to address the infrastructure needs, but also regain the trust of the public. So it is a catalyst for us to advance capital projects in a whole different way of carrying capital projects.
Now we're in a new year. We're actually coming close to the end of a year. What has been the keen focus for you and your team?
That's a great question. Our business never ends. We have a long to-do list. This year, we focused a lot on the improvement on the signal system, both on the red line, orange line, and we just led a big contract for the green line signal contract, which upgraded the entire green line system in the tunnel signal system, which dated back to 1930.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
certainly older than anybody here.
That's quite old. I mean, I've heard of things from the 50s and 60s, but 30s, I think that's a first for me.
Yes. And we are very fortunate to have the resources and also the contract to move forward to replace that system. The other thing that we're focusing on is a lot of station upgrade. As you have seen that Ruggles, Jackson's, also some of the commuter rail stations being upgraded. We can get into details later.
Oh, we will. Don't you worry. Just so our riders understand, what do signals do? What is the impact on riders? So again, track, we all learned a lot about track during obviously the slow zones and the corresponding track improvement program and their dictation of speed. But what does signals mean? Because, even when there are delays, sometimes you'll see red line delayed 15 minutes due to signal issue. What is a signal and how does that impact our riders? And then how does the work that's being done right now or throughout this year, how does that benefit our riders?
So I put it in a layman's term. The signal system is really the engine behind the scene, how we operate and control the train. The train is very different from regular vehicles. It is actually controlled by the signal system behind the scene. Actually, recently, there was a great episode done by one of the local reporters covering what we are doing behind the scene to upgrade our signal system. The signal system is driving the trains, in layman's term. So upgrading this to the state of art not only will improve the reliability, but also will give us the flexibility to do certain operations such as single tracking
And that's when we're able to go around, so we don't have to shut down both directions of traffic on a line, so to speak.
Exactly.
You're allowed to kind of go around the work, and that way people don't have to get on a shuttle or
It minimizes the
Yep.
impact while we're doing the work.
Yeah. Huge impact.
Yes.
No, that's great to hear. And again, it's one of those behind the scenes, you don't really feel it or you don't see the signals when you're out commuting on
That's
the MBTA,
correct. Yep.
but they do have that really big impact, obviously.
Yes.
Another term that you, and not really just you, but all of MBTA leadership, we have the general manager Ang, chief operations officer Caholen, and yourself and many others that keep saying there's a new way of doing business at the MBTA. What does that mean?
As I mentioned, that track improvement program is really open up our minds and set a new standard how we do, carry out capital projects differently. The first, I would contribute the tip success to a very effective scheduling. What I mean is, in the past, we're always afraid to shut down the track because with a good conscience, we don't want to impact the riders. However, we now found out that shutting a certain section of the transit system down and have a very robust schedule of getting the work done is actually more effective, more efficient, and least impact to the rider. Because the way we now conduct business is we build a construction schedule half year, even a year ahead of the current date. And we were able to shut down a certain section of this track and have multiple projects simultaneously taking place at the same time.
And this kind of speaks to, again, I was just re-listening to your podcast from the end of last year in preparation for today, but you had mentioned, I think it was, 14 months of work. You did 40 years.
Absolutely.
Which again, still is a lot to comprehend.
Yes.
But I think that speaks to that level of efficiency. And then from what you're saying, it's taking it from that track improvement program and then kind of copy pasting that model to whatever's out ahead.
That's the new way of doing business nowadays. We set a schedule way ahead of the current date, usually a year ahead. Then all the capital project teams will look at the schedule and see how we can work together, right? Getting the most bang for the buck. And that's one way, new way of doing business. The other thing that we found out is the successes rely on the partnership, the collaboration, not only between DOT and the contractors, but also between the operations and capitals and engineering. We're all working together. We found that's the most effective way and efficient way of carrying out capital projects. The third piece we actually doing business differently is now we put decision makers on the job site 24/7 when we shut down the lane. We are making real-time decisions right on the spot. So there's no back and forth. We make a decision, we carry out the work.
I've seen it. It's actually quite interesting to see. Again, I go out on diversions, for our purposes, but getting that behind the scenes look, these individuals are almost, if you're thinking in a musical sense, they're almost like conductors. Where I see them, they're looking at their clipboards and they see who's supposed to be doing what work at what time, and making sure everything's staying on time, and that they have the authority to address anything that might happen in between means there isn't a holdup, meaning a delay or an extended diversion.
This every surge or diversion, when we close a section of the transit system, it requires extensive preparation, scheduling. And when we get on the track, everybody knows what needs to be done. And then we have project managers, our resident engineers, the inspectors that literally watching the progress in the field. And if the project is going sideways, we are immediately looking for solutions, how we address that. So making sure that we are on track to deliver the project that we plan to do.
So I guess on that note, what does accountability look like? How are we holding ourselves accountable? How are we holding our contractors accountable, especially when things are a little bit more complex with having more contractors? Again, going back to the track improvement program, I know you mentioned there were times when there were, I think, 5 different contracting groups on the line at one time, not including, I think, our own people. So, I mean, there is a
Yes.
lot of moving pieces here. How do
Yes.
you make sure everyone's working together, that we're meeting deadlines?
Right.
And again, because it's not just, oh, you didn't meet a deadline, that's bad for us. It's bad for our riders. Either don't get what we promised them, or they don't get it in the duration that we were striving for. How do we make sure that we're looking out for ourselves and, again, more importantly, our riders?
Yeah. That's another secret ingredient, how we become so effective and efficient delivering our capital projects. That is the accountability. We're not only hold ourselves accountable, but also holding our contractors, our partners accountable. I'm using TIP program as example. Out of the 26 diversions that we carried out, only one that we missed one day.
Mm.
And the reason we know we're missing it is we actually, several days ahead of the ending of the surges, we already knew that we're not going to make it. So we brought the 5th contractor. There were 4 contractors. We brought 5th contractors to catch up, right? The other accountability lies with the contract itself. In our contract now, we have incentive and liquidated damages. If you do well, you will be incentivized with financial incentive. If you are not doing well, we assess liquidated damages. Because, as everybody know, shutting down a transit line is very expensive.
Of course.
Not only the alternative busing cost, in average, more than $1 million a day.
Wow.
Okay. But also you lose the revenue service. You have all the people that carry out the contract is a cost. So we take the schedule seriously. So when we have a schedule, we always want to carry out as planned. So for example, that during the TIP program, we have one surge that was 1 day delay. And after action review, we determined that the contractor was not well prepared to carry out the work. And since we have not invited them back for the remaining of the TIP program.
I think that speaks volumes. Again, you're kind of doing the carrot and the stick at the same time. You're incentivizing for people to do a good job and exceed expectations, but there are real consequences so that people are motivated to do it. And again, if you lose out on the contract, that's a big deal. The accountability and efficiency, it goes beyond even just timing, though, because I know there's other areas where you found opportunities to be efficient, both with personnel and with money. A phrase I've heard you say multiple times is, we're delivering more with less.
Yes.
How can you do that? What's your secret, Sam?
Yeah. I will reference to one of the study we carried out when I just arrived here. Based on my past experience, I noticed that our design cost seems to be high. But I want to know, I want to drill down and find out how high it was. So we carried out a analysis, compare our design cost versus our peers, such as MassDOT, DCAM, and the Massport. We picked the 28 facility projects because other agencies doesn't have track projects, signal projects. So we intentionally picked 28 facility projects that completed or near completion. And we compared our soft cost with others using the industry standard. And it turned out that it cost MBTA over $100 million on the soft cost side, consulting services, for carry out 28 these facility projects.
Yeah, that's not a small amount of money.
That's correct. And if you compare to using the industry standard, let's say DCAM standard.
And what does that stand for?
It's a Division of Capital, Asset Management, and Maintenance. It's another state agency that carry out all the vertical construction, such as facilities. So using the DCAM standard to carry out these 28 projects, the cost is supposed to be $50 million.
So we were double.
We doubled
Wow.
the, I would say, industry average.
Okay.
So we certainly have rooms to improve.
Yeah.
So once we compare that, we are really looking at what went wrong, right? So in the past, MBTA has a habit of when there is an internal or external request for a project, the capital side immediately start at design consulting services and to start to design something without any construction dollars associated with it or attached to it.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so we have a lot of projects. When I got here, I noticed there is about $500 million devoted for just soft cost, design cost.
Wow.
And we certainly don't have construction capital dollars.
To fund $500 million worth of designed.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's maybe just under a quarter of the MBTA's total budget, I believe. I think we're somewhere in the $2 billion mark. So that's a serious chunk of change.
Yeah, it's in a certain sense, it's more than a quarter, right? So what we have done is we look at the capital program and identified projects that we know that it will not be immediately funded. Construction won't be immediately funded. We pause these projects. Okay. And we're also looking at scalability of the projects. What I mean about scalability is in the past, doesn't matter how big or how small the project is, it's all going through the same processes. 30% review, 50% review, 75% review, 100% review. And value engineering, constructability review, all these 9R things. And we look at our processes and we feel there's a way we can improve this. For small projects, we scale it down for the steps that we have to go through. Obviously, these steps is important and make sense for bigger projects. So now we develop processes that tailor to the complexity and the size of a project. And that saves money. So the other thing that we have to look at is the standards, and we try to standardize some of the designs. For example, we track about 150 stair designs, and we have completed about 50. And believe it or not, we have customized every single stairs to the teeth, customer design and construct.
And each one of those costing money for that design process.
Absolutely.
For stairs.
Yes. And you would think that it makes sense.
Yeah.
You have a sets of standards and sets of standard sheets, then you can just spec the height, the width,
whatever the
clearance.
Common height and got it.
It will significantly reduce the amount of soft cost. And then you can give it to the contractor. They can develop their shop drawings and go from there. So that's another efficiency that we found.
And then on the other side, you're also finding personnel efficiencies as well. So it's not just finding these cost efficiencies, but you're also able to accomplish that work with a fewer number of people.
Yes. As a matter of fact, in fiscal year 2024, we delivered $1.6 billion capital projects. A short year later, fiscal 2025, which including the track improvement program, we were able to deliver $2.1 billion of capital project with slightly less internal staff. That shows a great improvement in terms of delivery.
And so people understand the spending of more money isn't just, oh, we spent this much more money. It's that much more work was accomplished. Because I believe track improvement program and other instances have had a much higher quoted budget than what you were able to deliver that level of work. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. For example, the track improvement needs, initially we estimate and supposed to be budgeted at $2 billion just to improve the entire track system to state of good repair. In just a short 14 months, we were able to carry out the track improvement program, not only addressed all the speed restrictions, but also carried out most of the state of good repair work for the track.
So it's not just removing speed restrictions. It's a safety issue.
Absolutely.
And again, both of these things done with less time, fewer people, less money, and it's just, I mean, again, it's almost hard to believe. Again, as someone who's lived in Boston for the majority of my life, to see the rate of acceleration and accomplishment with verifiable, results coming together so quickly. But, there is that efficiency, but I mean, I can't undersell your creativity as well when it comes to this, because I think it was maybe last week I was in the North Wilmington station, and at North Wilmington, I see this brand new facility. Everyone there, all their local electeds, they're all thrilled that this is here. It's taking the train out of downtown, so it's a little further back, and it's no longer stopping traffic, no longer an issue for potential emergency vehicles who couldn't get through in the past. And we were able to deliver it more quickly, but we did that. How were we able to deliver it more quickly? What was the secret sauce there?
Yeah, so obviously innovation and a new way of doing business is the key for our success. And I will preface to say that we are able to deliver more with less without runaway costs.
Yeah,
right. That's the key.
That's a big caveat.
Yeah. So in terms of a new way of doing business, like you mentioned, the North Wilmington, we actually did a mini high, which addressed the accessibility on the commuter rail side with very limited resources. Just a short introduction of what mini high means. Typically on the commuter rail station, the standard design is you walk out, called a level boarding. Mm-hmm. You walk into a platform, which could be 400 feet long or 800 feet long, depends on the line. And it not only provide easy access, but also accommodate the accessibility needs population to board the train. For areas that we don't have that, we build this shorter, which is about 50, 60 feet long, with a ramp, with a canopy for the folks that needs accessibility support to board these trains easily. So it's a creative way of utilizing some of the materials that was left behind by the Big Dick project.
And so I cannot let you gloss over that, because that is, when I first heard this, my mind was blown, and I was at a press event in Wilmington, and everyone else's mind was blown when they heard this. But you have found, in your innovative, creative, new way of doing business, you are taking sections that were constructed for the Big Dig, the whole Boston renewal program from the 90s and early 2000s, and you have discovered or invented really a way for taking these materials that would have gone unused, and instead are now using them so you can accelerate accessibility across the commuter rail.
Yes, yes. And not only that, not only we are using the big dig materials, with my connections with my the previous state, we were able to not only find, but also secure 44 pieces of these panels. These are large panels, 12 by 50 feet long, and it's perfect for 1 meter high at each location.
So bridge segments, you found them from the big dig locally here in the Boston area, and then you use your New York connections and you found that they also had these.
Yes. It is a very exciting idea, and contacting.
It's a different, again, it is as much of a new way of doing business as you possibly could have, because it's just so imaginative to be able to even think of, hey, what if there's a bunch of these things lying around, knowing and verifying, obviously, that, despite age or anything else, they're still absolutely structurally sound. Being able to use those materials, but then having enough volume of those materials to then be able to do this, as you were talking earlier, at scale.
Yes.
Yep. That's wild.
Yep. And not only
I got excited about this one. This is a win.
Me too. Yes. Not only we were able to locate these panels, we were able to acquire those at unbelievable cost. For example, each of these panels, we would procure it on the market, it would cost about $330,000 a piece per panel.
And how many panels roughly are, let's say, in a commuter rail station where you'd be using this?
So for a standard commuter rail, we can use 8 panels to build a standard level boarding station.
Okay.
And we got 44 pieces.
Wow.
And for all the 44 pieces, only cost Massachusetts taxpayer about $1,500 total.
So you got $14,520,000 worth of material for $1,500.
That's correct.
That's a big number.
That's
a big number, Sam. I'm bringing you with me the next time I go to buy a car. I mean, what a negotiator over here.
Well, it's a win for Massachusetts taxpayers.
I mean, again, it's not like 5% off just because you're friends. I mean, that's a massive amount. And again, it's a compounding trend. It's saving money with the track improvement program last year. It's finding these efficiencies with the design process and then in the materials. And it's just from every angle, you're finding efficiencies and you're saving money.
Thank you. And also a different way of carry out capital projects. For example, in the past, traditionally, we used design, bid, build, procurement method, which is we design a project, then put it out, advertise it, soliciting bids. Then we open bids, select the lowest bid contractors, and then the contractor will carry out the construction. So it's a linear process. Now we get smarter. We pick the best procurement method. In the industry, we call it alternative delivery method, such as construction manager at risk, CM at risk, or design build procurement method. To carry out and pick the best procurement method.
And what do those look like for someone like myself who doesn't usually procure contracts?
Yep. So let's use design build as an example. We essentially acquire a joint venture, designer and the builder together. Obviously, the benefit is you could advance a project design and construction kind of in a staggered way, so we can deliver projects in a faster pace. Because while you're designing it, the contractor is already thinking about how to build it. And they are interacting with each other as one entity. And not only they can deliver faster, we also using that procurement method to stimulate creativity. Because creativity yields savings for the contractor. And we have seen this on some of the projects that we are carrying out right now, such as North Station Draw 1. This project was initially carried out as a design bid build. We already designed the project roughly up to 75%, and it cost Massachusetts taxpayer about $1.2 billion. And it will take 8.5 to 9 years to carry out this project. And last November, we hosted an open shop, invited all the national renowned contractors and designers to listen to a open house. After the open house, we had a number of one-on-ones, 7 one-on-ones with contractors, and we got a lot of feedback from them. And the universal feedback we got is you gotta have a more creative way of delivering project using a different procurement method. That's when we chose design-build procurement. And we started design-build procurement at the beginning of this year, and we have already got lots of good feedback in terms of schedule and cost. We are in the procurement period, so without getting into the details, I'm very confident to say that I'm very much looking forward to a very aggressive schedule and a very competitive cost for this project.
That's fantastic because it's also, it's a major project. I believe this is our largest contract potentially in MBTA history, budget-wise. And for those who don't know, the North Station Draw 1 bridge, there's a drawbridge right outside of North Station. All MBTA traffic and Amtrak traffic has to go over this bridge.
Correct.
So there's nothing, again, I travel over that bridge every day. And the amount of time impact for the project is going to have a massive impact on everyone north of Boston. So there's so much importance. You think about like a 30-day shutdown being a long time. This is a big ask. And again, with that much money, being able to have any level of savings, any level of percentage, it's massive because the initial number is so large, but obviously it is such an important project to make sure it's done well, but also to be a good steward of the taxpayers' time and money when it comes to this project.
Yes, there are 200 daily trips crossing this bridge. There are about 12 million riders a year that cross that bridge. It's a significant.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it just highlights the importance of transportation as a whole, but the very real factor of needing to invest in infrastructure. Because that's 12 million people that rely on getting to work, seeing family, what have you. And then it's our responsibility as the provider of transportation to maintain, to rebuild and do so in the most efficient way possible.
Yes.
You just seem to be so innovative. I can't imagine someone having a negotiation with you and coming out on top. So when you're looking at things, whether it's time, it's personnel, it's thinking outside the box and getting bridge pieces from New York, like, do you have like the Sam Zhou approach to efficiency that you approach everything with, regardless of what that problem may be, what that challenge is for the day?
It's more of a, thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm very proud to talk about, innovation and creativity is our accelerated bridge construction program. Just explain what that means. It is a method that we will replace a bridge in an extremely short period of time to minimize impact to the ridership. Right. For example, the South Elm Street Bridge, we were able to replace the bridge just in one weekend. And
pretty quick.
I still remember that the board chairman, Chair McGee, mentioned that in the Friday afternoon, he went home under the old bridge, and Monday morning when he drive to work, it was on a brand new bridge.
You have to do a double take when things are that, are done that quick, because you wouldn't expect something as, significant as a bridge being accomplished in a weekend. So, I'd check my GPS or something, make sure it was the right spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we carry out these projects, right? ABC, Accelerated Bridge Construction, ABC is not a new concept, but we certainly get good at it and better at it. And we will do more of these.
Can you talk a little bit about innovation, I guess, broadly? I see so many different types of outside the box thinking. Can you just tell me about that innovative approach and whether it's all in the mind of Sam or if it's, working with your team, working with MBTA leadership, but that willingness because, there's the poison of we've always done things this way. And I'd love to hear what you and others on your team or in leadership, how it is you're looking at things to not do things the same way they've done before, to make these changes that honestly appear magic to so many of us.
So certainly this is not Sam Zhou's show. It is a team effort. We have numerous examples and project cases that we not only be able to deliver projects on time, on budget, but also being creative, using different method or materials to deliver these projects, to save taxpayers' dollars and minimize impact to the riders. Another example I'm very proud to mention is the Jackson Square Station replacement project. Jackson Square Station, in general, the platform is about 2 to 3 inches lower than what's supposed to be for accessibility. So this project is essentially accessibility improvement project to raise the platform 2 to 3 inches, making sure that we meet the ADA accessibility requirement. The project was designed for remove the existing brick pavers and replace with concrete, typical concrete. As you know, concrete, you have to wait about 7 days to reach
fully cure
the strength, right? So when I learned this project, I worked with the team and we found alternative material, which we used in other bridge construction called PPC, polyester polymer concrete. It's a concrete that never cracks, has elasticity in it, and we want to do a test on this. So they actually did a small area and found it's very suitable for this type of application. So what it is essentially you can keep the existing paver and just pour 2 to 3 inches of this PPC on top of it, and hardens in 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
So now you can do it overnight. So the project initially requires a month of shutdown of the entire station.
And that would just be, every work. And I can just imagine people see the work is done, but you're just waiting for the concrete to cure.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then people are being displaced and.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now with this new material, we were able to do it with just a weekend bypass, with some overnight constructions. Not only do it faster, but also saving taxpayers over $1 million.
Incredible. And I mean, honestly, for so many of the average riders, you're also just not displacing them. You're not forcing them to have to drive, to take an Uber, to find alternative transportation. It's a minimal impact. It's saving them money. And again, this just keeps becoming a trend with you, which is a great trend to have. Again, new material, whether it be former pieces of a bridge in New York or PPC, which I'm going to have to look into apparently for any repairs I have around the house, maybe. But that's just absolutely fascinating. I know another one of your passion pieces and something that we discussed last time you were on the show was rebuilding in-house technical abilities. We do have that reliance and we do have that partnership, a healthy, positive partnership with so many different contractors. But there is that need to have a knowledge base within the MBTA. Can you tell me a little bit about where that is, almost a year later since last we spoke?
So I started my career with MBTA about 2 years ago. When I got here, one of my observations is we have a lot of generalists. These are the capital project delivery team that knows a little bit of everything.
Everything, yep.
But not specializing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm advocating is, and I have repeatedly advocating with my teams, you not only need to be a generalist, but you also need to be a specialist. Because you need to be good at something so you know how you can guide the designer and contractors during the project development process. That is the key. So I'm a believer that with the in-house capability, not only saving taxpayers money, because it is cheaper to have in-house design, in-house capability than simply acquire from the market. Not only we can manage our projects better, but also eventually these people will extend it into different area of the department, agency, so they can be the future leader of different areas.
So not just seeking knowledge externally. Again, obviously, there is a base level of skill, knowledge, understanding already at the T and with your team and others. But having that expertise and specialization to really elevate what we're able to deliver, to even know the things to ask for or the potential concerns of something, so that at the end of the day, we can have a better product. And it hopefully saves some money in the process. To even know to use, bizarre materials that you keep coming up with, but having that knowledge really does set us up for success. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, absolutely. So we started with some of the specialized areas such as bridge rating, bridge inspection, and structural design. These are highly specialized area that requires professional licenses, professional engineer licenses to carry out these missions. Having those in-house capabilities not only deliver better product for the T, but also be able to rebuild the in-house capabilities so these people can be future leaders in different areas.
And again, I feel like I bring this up every episode, but it's such a great common thread between the different leaders at the MBTA, because you are far from the first person to say this. The general manager has said this, the chief operating officer has said this. Everyone talks about future-proofing, I suppose, the MBTA to not just deliver now, to bring the T into a new renaissance of public transportation, but it's so that as people, come and go at the MBTA has that internal strength to continue. And I think that is so important, because you don't want someone to leave, someone to retire, and then all of that institutional knowledge is gone. Then we're going back to the old ways. And, we know that we can't do that. Again, there's a new way of doing business, but I love that new way of doing business includes up training and making sure the MBTA is prepared for generations to come.
Yes, absolutely. And I often say this, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
And having these in-house expertise and capabilities to prevent things that we don't know what the pitfall is.
Yep.
So
exactly. It makes the amount of things you don't know that much smaller, which is extraordinarily valuable across the board, from safety and impacts to riders and everything in between.
Yes.
So as we're looking ahead to truthfully the next year, even though I know we already have so many things that have already happened this year and even more ahead, what does long-term planning look like for you? I know we kind of touched upon this in the very beginning, but I know you have interest in having simultaneous projects taking place. What's in store? What's coming down the track for the future for our riders?
Obviously, we have a laundry list of capital improvement programs and projects. The needs is endless. Depends on the CIP, the capital investment program funding envelope. We will prioritize the future needs for capital programs, and we will carry out the most efficient way we can. One thing that we definitely will continue to practice is have a better planning in terms of construction schedule. And we found it's very efficient and productive to have a schedule laid out in front of everybody so we can deliver multiple projects at the same time. Not only being more efficient, but also minimize the impact to the riders, right? From the point of view of the riders wants to get from A to B. They don't really care what's behind the scene.
Yep.
They want to see shorter headways. They want to see more reliable trains, more reliable transit system. That's what we will deliver in the future.
Obviously, all of those things are what we are all collectively striving towards and wanting to deliver to our riders and our employees. What gives you confidence that this new way of doing business is sustainable and that it will persist? I know you talked a little bit about the uptraining of additional generations, but what gives you confidence that this is the right way of going forward? It will keep going forward, and in the process, we'll rebuild that public trust and provide the best possible transit we can.
Just in a short period of 1 year, what we are doing proven to be very successful. And we know what we have done in the past is not sustainable. By rebuilding the in-house capability, hiring professionals, rebuilding the expertise in-house, developing career development programs to further enhance people's project teams' capability, I'm confident that we can deliver more efficient, accessible system in a timely manner.
Well, that's great to hear. Sam, thank you so much for joining us here today, for sharing even just a sliver of all that knowledge that you have. Thank you for being an excellent steward of taxpayer dollars, and thank you for taking such a unique approach to making these changes at the MBTA with that new way of doing business, because I look forward to hearing what your next negotiation is, what strange material you've discovered, maybe a part of a meteorite or something that's like the absolute right material to build rail out of. But it's been extraordinarily informative, and it's always great to talk to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the invite.
And that brings us to the close of another episode of Spilling the Tea. I want to thank Sam Zhou for taking the time to talk about all the innovative things he and his team are doing for the MBTA. And I want to thank you, our listeners. If you have any thoughts, questions, or ideas for future episodes, shoot us an email at social@mbta.com. I also want to thank the Menino Convention and Exhibition Center for allowing us to use their space to record this podcast. Until next time, I'm Andrew Cassidy, and this has been Spilling the Tea.